Hey everybody, welcome back to the Firefighters Chalkboard. This is episode number 21 and I'm your host Uncle Wayne. Today we've got Chief Marquise Solomon from the West Columbia Fire Department. Chief, I want to welcome you to the chalkboard.
Wayne, I want to say thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Take two. Guys,
Exactly.
yeah, we're transparent as we can be. We're not going to tell stories around here a whole lot, but we tried this the other day and we had a really good time. And then tech technology and all these electric doodads, man. We had some serious audio problems, so we having to get a do over. But I think it's going to be a lot better for everybody listening. So, Chief, tell us your story about how you got into the fire department and who Chief Solomon is.
So, I am technically second generation. My dad was a firefighter in city of Philadelphia. My uncle was a firefighter for in Camden. So, I kind of grew up around it. And of course, it was one of those things where it's like, damn, man, I want to be in the fire service. And I said, man, you know what? I think I want to do that instead of going to college. Well, mom said, no, no, go ahead and go to college, right? Said, I got something for you. Let me go ahead and volunteer. So I started out as volunteer while I was in school. Midway through, mother got sick, had to come back home, and it was perfect opportunity. And let me see, this is year 2025, 26 technically, from being a volunteer, but 24 career. And so I'm loving it. I've had the opportunity to work for numerous departments. I spent half my career working for City of Columbia, took a job in North Carolina, and came back to West Columbia about 11 years ago, and worked as the chief of operations, and then as the fire chief. That was what 2022. Yes, man, time is rolling.
Oh, yeah.
2022, I took over as fire chief. Yeah, so man, I love this thing. It's the greatest profession on earth. It really is. I mean, the profession's been better than me, and I've been to it. But what I'll say is, this thing is still rolling along just like it has long before me, and I just want to leave my mark on it, try to help it move forward, long after I'm gone. But as far as who I am, I mean, look, I love to see people win, man. That drives me, it motivates me. A lot of people see me like, so I'm a Gamecock fan,
I was fixing
Spurs
to
up.
bring it up, man. I was fixing to bring it up.
Yeah, yes, sir. All day. Yes. Let's go, baby. But I I love people, and that's what drives me. The whole service component to it, yeah, that's the greatness behind what we do. But just loving people. I love to see my people grow, so and thing is, if you see me dressed up, most people say, man, he always looks serious. In all honesty, chances are I am saying something that is very, very comical in my head. I just can't say it aloud until I take my uniform off. But but I like to
I can
joke,
attest-
man. I love to laugh. So
There is a funny side to the guy. I can attest
yeah,
to that.
yes, man, I love it, man. I love it. So anyway, anytime I get a chance to kind of talk about the trade, man, I'm all about it. So having this opportunity to kind of have this conversation, man, I'm just glad to be here.
Well, I'm glad to have you here because this is going to be a really fun one, and especially on the the platform we're using. We're using the chalkboard as a way to bridge students and instructors together because there's really a whole lot, not a whole lot for a way for a student to get a hold of an instructor or to be able to get in the mind of an instructor, and turning it around with the dynamics the way they are changing in the fire service. I mean, the fire service isn't changing. People need something, they call, we come. Same way it's been for
Hmm.
hundreds of years.
Sure.
But a lot of things have changed as far as the learning environments, the teaching environments. So as instructors, a lot of times it's hard for us to find out really truly what our students are asking for. So we're
Hmm.
we're trying to use this platform as a bridge to be able to bring the old school to the new school per se, kind of. That
Makes
way
sense.
we got some common ground across the board, which is I think is what we need. And common ground is a good way to have mutual respect, and that's
It
what we
is.
truly got to have for a good learning environment. So
Agreed. Agreed.
so would you being the chief of the department? You big man on campus, right? So What expectations have you got for your training staff?
So, my training staff, what I expect for them is their training is to match whatever we have set as our mission and our objectives for the department. So, what it is that it makes it a little easier by saying, look, what we're focusing on is this particular area in this moment in time because we see some deficiencies there maybe, or we either see a need to fill in skills gap or continue to build upon some skills that we may have taken on. Also, you always want to maintain and refine the skills that you already have. So but they all have to fit into what we do as a department,
Hmm.
so I tell people often, like, if you see us doing or providing a service, that service is normally built off of a service that we're providing. If it looks cool, it's cool solely because it's really what we're doing as an agency. So from my instructor standpoint, always want them to make sure that they're teaching what it is that we're doing, and it aligns. However, the um, the biggest thing is for them to know how to connect with their students, because the truth is everybody do learn in different ways. We've known this forever, but
Yep.
when you're trying to make sure that you're getting your message across, especially now we have how many different generations in the workforce,
Oh
you know,
man,
you know.
at least four in the still working phase, and
Hmm.
I'm gonna have to roll with I think Jeremy, because I think the last time I was watching his program, he said there are still upwards of five with the volunteer ranks, because there are a
It
lot of
is.
people that are he's got guys up north that are 70 years old still wheeling
Yes.
rigs. I mean,
So I mean, when you take that you take that into consideration, and you're trying to train people who had, I guess, they started their journey without the technology that we have today, and
mhm,
now they're still in it as we have the technology. So making sure that they become, in order to do this, you have to be a student of people. And so
mhm,
that's what I expect from the standpoint of the instructors, not only teaching what we need, but being able to connect with the students regardless of the age difference. The way that we see the way that we see it, the information that we want and need, it really has changed over time. So that's really really what I want my instructors to understand. I mean, I've been teaching, this is 20, like 21, 22 years, something like that,
mhm.
and it's changed. It has. What we say, no question is a stupid question, right? Back then, and what we used to mean
Oh
by
yeah.
that was like, hey, look, you can ask questions, but you also knew there was almost a limit to the question that you could ask, right? That it was kind of
Mhm.
unspoken. Well, now it seemed like we kind of move into a different area because our employees, or even our kids, to a degree, they want information. They expect
Yes,
it. They want to know the whys, right? So they
there
want to
you
know.
go.
And that's what makes you so effective with what you're doing, man. Because that matters, right? I mean, and that's the thing. So, you provide that information up front. There were
Hmm.
oftentimes we were taught we were taught we were taught how to do it, but had no idea, why we were doing it.
What was the
You
reasoning
know.
behind it? We didn't know because I said so.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
how it was.
Yes. And so, we've kind of moved into a different era as it relates to instructing. I mean, and even when I'm teaching like higher ed, I use the same approach in higher ed, even and continuing it. It's still all in the same, no matter professional development. If you're talking about, in a master's degree program or a bachelor's degree program, it doesn't matter. You know, um, we all have changed in society, so it's a thing where we gotta make sure it matches.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, and the why matters,
Yes.
because, and we talked about this before in class and stuff, and if you give them the why, the how comes a lot easier,
Hmm.
because they want the understanding of it first. And I think the reason why they ask so many questions, and since me and you talked last time, the other day I was after we got through the convention, and we're gonna bring this up later, but we had some kill time at the end of the day. Bad weather. I mean, we couldn't get anybody outside. We had like an hour and
Mm.
a half left, and it was like one of those frog stranglers that come across last week. And I said, okay, I got y'all locked up for an hour where you can't go anywhere. I'm gonna give y'all a dry run before the convention starts. That way I can get one more rep in before I go to teach my class. And I told him, I said, this is geared for instructors, but it's about you. So listen to it, and if there's anything that you don't agree with while we're talking about the students, stop me and let's talk.
Mm.
Because if I can fix it right now, it's time to fix it before I go and present. Based on what the students actually thought of the information, because it was talking about them, and they were spot on. I'm like, how many of you are asking questions because you fear that if you tell somebody what you're thinking, you'll be criticized if it's not right? And the majority of them, hey, me,
Yeah.
because I think that's what they were used to in school,
Mm.
to where, and they're like, we want you to explain it so we can make sure it's validated. That way, if we're thinking the right way, it's a win. If I wasn't thinking the right way, you told me, and I don't sound, like I don't know what was going on. So they're hesitant, and I see that presenting the why first gives them understanding, gives them reasoning, and then they're more engaged in how we do it because they already know why it's got to be done.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I think that helps a lot.
Well, well, and I agree. I mean, of course, even with excuse me, even with our organization, most often, um, we try to communicate with our people.
Hmm.
Sometimes almost to a fault, but we try to provide them the why behind what it is that we're doing. When we come out with new policies, or either if we change, if we make a shift in our service delivery model. We want to talk about why, because otherwise, it sometimes it's hard to stomach. And the truth is, whatever goes on now, we have so much access to information. People can look that stuff up and they can know, okay, you know what they're doing, it appears that we're going this direction for whatever reason. But if you don't tell them, they'll make up the rest, and then you end up with a lot of discourse. So to try
Hmm.
to knock some of that down, we try to explain stuff on the front end, what we're doing, what direction we're headed. um Sometimes our people probably receive so much information that it may spoil them a little bit. But we want them to know. We want them to
We
know
want them to
why
know why
we're doing
we're
what we're
doing.
doing, especially when we're demanding more of them.
But one thing it also does, Chief, is it requires us as instructors to truly have our A game when we stand in front of them every time, because they've
Mhm.
got access to that stuff that can validate what you're saying, or you're full of crap, one of the two.
Yes.
I mean, they can say this guy knows what he's talking about, or he's trying to fake it till he makes it. I
You,
mean,
you can't hide. You
no.
can't hide. You can't hide. If you're an instructor and you're insecure, you really in the wrong place right now, because a student will challenge you, and it's not because they're wrong. It's not they're trying to disrespect you, but you really have a good understanding of what you're saying, because if you put it out into the universe, you know they're going to challenge it
And
if it's incorrect.
I don't think it's a way. It's not a way of. It's not them being disrespectful or anything else, because a lot of times they're trying to look at the same thing we're talking about, and
Mhm.
they're trying to make sure that it's validated, it's quantified, everything else all at the same time, because that's the way they were brought up in the technology age. These are COVID kids that were doing all their work on at home.
Mhm.
They didn't have a teacher saying this is, this is how you do it or whatever. They gave them an assignment. Here's the internet. Go find your answers and do your work. And that's what they're used to. And then now we're trying to bring them back into a hybrid based program. And
Mhm.
really, a lot of the stuff we do isn't even hybrid. It's trying to go back to a hybrid. The state's trying to get it back onto an e-learning, or like with ebooks and things like that. But that's still a little bit out. They're running the dry programs on it, but it's a challenge for
Yeah,
them and a challenge for us. But it I think it's a good thing because it makes the instructors truly know their material,
you better. You
or
would be
or
embarrassed.
they know somebody that knows their material, that is passionate about teaching, or somebody that can read a lesson plan. They're gonna know one of the
Yes.
two things.
Yes, yes, and I mean, and you can tell the difference. I mean, immediately.
Mhm.
So most often, even if it's a curriculum that I've taught before, I normally try to go back through it, make sure that I'm not missing anything. I was teaching Fire Officer 4 about a month or so ago, and I think that was the first one I did this year. And I said, let me go back through and make sure, I wanted to make sure that I had everything covered because, I mean, at the end of the day, if I'm out there and I don't understand what's going on, or it appears that I don't, and the students pick up on it, then it
Hmm.
erodes the trust, and after that, the whole program is actually probably questioned at that point. So it's bigger than me as an instructor. You got to think about the name that's right behind your name, especially when you teach for an institution.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because especially like you're talking about teaching for an institution, you go up and you're standing in front of Denny, and you're in the Denny in front of everybody else. There ain't no faking it till you make it in that room. You've got to know what you're talking about because everybody in there is, captains and above. Whenever
Hmm.
when you're standing up there, is people that's had time in the service. And they know whether
Hmm.
you're being sincere with what you're teaching, you've done your homework, or whether you're just trying to play with it. Now, and you talk about spending a lot of time teaching upper level stuff. You do, you teach a lot of upper level stuff in the fire department. You still doing your adjunct stuff with
Yes.
college
Hmm.
too. So I mean,
Hmm.
you're used to that higher tier instruction where I spend most of my time doing basic entry level. I'm just teaching recruit schools a lot of times. I go out and teach for the state on different classes and stuff, but I spent my bread and butter is recruit school.
Hmm.
Um, Now, but with you with those upper level classes, how much does your delivery method change? You know, because it's got to change some.
It does. You know what? It's the most challenging part about it is that sometimes you're trying to break people's ideas of what they believe how the fire service operate, especially at the higher levels,
Hmm.
because I'll be the first one to say, I remember when when I was a firefighter, senior firefighter engineer, hell, I even go up to captain. I knew how administration should operate. I knew I had the answer, right? And so
I know
I
where
had to be
this is
broken
going.
out of that. Yep. Had to be broken out
No.
of that. Had to. My first day, my first not my first day, it was about my first month. I picked up the phone and I called Jamie Helms, the our executive director at the association. He used to be my division chief, and he was our assistant chief of professional operations, I mean professional services. Also, I called Rick Dunn because Rick Dunn did the same thing before him, and I used to give them high holy hell. And
Hmm.
I said, hey y'all, look, I said, hey man, I'm sorry. I dropped the ball there. I get it. It's nothing like what I thought it was. I understand a lot of things that you guys are trying to do. I had to be honest. So when I'm teaching some of the higher level courses, normally I'm trying to really almost like introduce them to the realities of executive leadership in the
Hmm.
fire service because it looks different than what we thought it was. And as an example, like right now, I'm working with my assistant chief of operations, with him working on a class to possibly kind of put out there during a conference to help bridge that gap because he was hired in as a captain in a neighboring agency, but he had a good understanding of how it worked in the administrative space. But I want to try to encourage him to get into that, so because he has a story to tell. That
Hmm.
transition works. And so we talk about upper level courses. Sometimes that's what you're trying to break. And then,
Yeah.
as far as sometimes the whys are a little easier to get there, but also the levels of understanding and experience are different. So that's probably the biggest difference between when I was teaching recruit schools. Recruit school, you bring them in, you break them all the way down, and you can build them back up. You don't really have that time when you're upper level, so you're trying to fill those gaps in experience levels and education levels, as far as how government works, or how, it's just so many different moving parts to it. So yeah, it's actually a little bit more challenging at times because you're trying to factor in so many different variables that you may not be able to account for. Style of government, volunteer career. Um, just yeah, it just depends.
All right, so I'm going to circle back on that real quick with your students, because because you you got me really good because, and I'll explain the reason why. A couple months ago, I had the privilege of being in the chief fire officer class for the state fire academy or the fire chief association. And we got another week left next month, and you were one of the lead instructors in that class. And I had the privilege of sitting in there and truly listening to a passionate delivery about operations and stuff. And it was, I was just, let's see, I was the most junior person in there rank wise. I mean, I truly was. I was in in an auditorium full of chief officers, and I was lucky enough to be picked to go inside that class. And it seems like, and this is just outside looking in, from a captain's rank looking at the rest of it, it was almost like, you were up there. I'm telling you, I was taking notes, boy. I was writing them down because you were preaching the gospel, man. I mean, you were teaching with a passion I hadn't seen in a long time by a higher level. I hear some really good captains and stuff like that that's teaching things, and especially if it's their topic they love, and they're up there. They not teaching, they preaching. I mean,
Hmm.
but it seems like, and I don't mean this in disrespect or anyway, but it was like there's so many higher ranking officers there, but you weren't getting any kind of feedback or interaction very much. And I know that's got to be challenging whenever you're there to present a course
Hmm.
and you're not getting that engagement, it seems like. Because it's almost like a lot of times they don't want to hear because it's different than what their thoughts are. And I don't, and
Bingo.
it's almost like a closed mindedness, and that's what kind of the vibe I was getting. I mean, I was eating it up. I mean, because
Mm.
I'm a little sponge over here. I don't have all them bugles on my collar. I
So
got two. I got two, and they so good they ain't fell over yet. I mean,
okay, it, yeah, but it's cool because see, so like what you saw was what I was talking about, having to meet people where they were, because if you remember, you had you had people from SPDs, you had people from municipalities, had people who were part of county agencies. I think we even had one that was federal.
hmm
And so there's a couple things sometimes you're dealing with because you're dealing with higher level classes. You got your executive level officers in there. Some of them, they're not comfortable because they don't want to appear as if they do not know. Now what I often get is I'll get emails, text messages, phone calls. Hey, I heard you say this, in class. Hey, you might either send me some information on that or whatever. That'll happen a lot. So
yeah,
what I try to do is to deliver the information where it makes people curious, just curious. That's it. Yep, I'm
going
just trying to bring them in. That's it. Because the thing is, you will never hear me talk about something that I hadn't done.
yeah,
Like if I say it, it's because I experienced it. And sometimes that's through success or failure. And if it's a failure, I'll tell you. You know, um, but because I don't like to speak on theory, and because if I say it, you go out and you try to apply this and it doesn't, not only does it not work, but it actually causes you issues in your organization. That bothers me as instructor. It bothers me as a leader. I think that's irresponsible. So I try to provide them with information that to speak to that I've actually either experienced or saw, witnessed. There's some proof there that this should reasonably help you. Now, the engagement part, I try to go at it from different angles, and I'm constantly scanning my class, or if it's a classroom or if it's an auditorium, I'm constantly scanning. I'm seeing who engaged and who's not,
hmm
and I try to see who. I'll ask a question where either it's gonna prompt somebody to raise their hand, or it gives me the opportunity to just pick someone, and I want them to talk. And then we get into like like we brought in the guests and all that stuff. That was done to try to, because engagement helps. It helps with retention. I mean, most of the time when you got somebody just lecturing, it's challenging. to really take a lot away. So if we're gonna talk, I wanted to be in a conversation, kind of like what you did in Myrtle Beach. I mean, that's effective.
Yeah.
You know, you can remember what conversation you had with somebody versus somebody talking at you.
Yeah. And it was, I was just thinking and thinking and thinking. One of the guests I had on the podcast a couple weeks ago, and he's a really, really good instructor. And he said something that made me completely think about things differently. He said, whether you have a great class or a class that sucks, as an instructor, you as a presenter, it is your fault. He said, because if the class isn't engaging, it's
Mhm.
because you didn't read them and you didn't change your methods or something and make them engage. Said, because he was like, you ever heard somebody come out and say, well, how'd your class go? Oh man, it sucked. Those guys didn't do nothing. They were sitting there fiddling around with everything.
Mhm.
They weren't paying attention. And he's like, that's your fault. You need to change your
Mhm.
tactics. You need to change things up and try to go fishing again. Throw a different lure. They don't
Right.
want that one. Throw something else.
Mhm.
And I've really been thinking about that, and I think about that. I've been trying to take that with me, even on daily lectures, running through like Fire One and stuff like that. How can I change my delivery to keep everything? Because he was like, I can go to any conference in the world, I can put a picture of my dog on a PowerPoint and never change the slide because the instructor is the presentation, not the PowerPoint. So he was
Mhm.
like, that's the, if you keep that mindset that you are the presentation, a lot of times you get more of an interaction.
Mhm.
And I think and I'm just as guilty. I have off days like everybody does. And sometimes I'm leaning on that PowerPoint a little more than what I normally would want
Mhm.
to. Um, but it's the engagement. That's something that's
Yeah.
truly how I determine whether I'm getting buy-in or not by the students is
Mhm.
how much they engage. And I've seen people really struggle trying, and it's almost like, well, they're these guys are hitting their laptops, they're checking on their phones, they're trying to run their
Mhm.
department. And I get it, they're fire chief, they've still got a department to run, things like that. But why be in the class if you're not going to engage in it?
Mhm.
To say you've been there.
You know, you know what's funny? So, even what is it called? Fire Chief's Edge. It's a multi-day workshop before the start of iChiefs every year.
Hmm.
I freaking love it. I'll be doing it again this year in Orlando, and one of the things that helps is that you give chief officers, and when you teach chief officers, and you give them a chance to talk about their department, about what they do, because a lot of times they want to get the information out. They want to cast it out because they have some questions, but once again, they don't know if it's a safe space. They don't know if what they're saying is going to make them appear as if they're incompetent. So you try to create the environment for them to do so. And I really get a chance to see that every time I go to the Fire Chief's Edge at iChiefs. But when I'm teaching, that is also one of the things that I try to do. Like Steve Graham is one of the greatest ones around in that he will talk during the class. It is not by happenstance that you saw me say, hey, you know what? Hey, Chief Graham, go ahead. Would you mind? Because he will tell his story, and
Hmm.
it'll open up the floor for others to speak.
And he loves it. I love
Hmm.
being around Chief Graham. I mean, I do. And you know, I like the concept from Officer 3 and 4. I really like that concept where you walk in wearing a polo shirt, whatever, no uniforms, no rank, nobody knows who what is
Hmm.
unless they give an introduction for what your rank is. Everybody sits at the table and we work the problems out. That way there's no intimidation about, well, this guy's a deputy chief of a metro area and I'm just a captain from a little small two firehouse department.
Hmm.
It doesn't mean anything. The job's still the same.
I love
Just
it.
working the problem. And I really like that aspect of because it lets you be able to speak your mind without worried about what's my rank, what are these chief officers thinking. You might be sitting around all chiefs and have no idea unless they tell
Hmm.
you they're a chief, and that way you can really get in each other's minds and work together. And that's what I've come up to whenever I was doing Officer 3. I was the only one that wasn't a minimum of an assistant chief, and I didn't find that out until a week into it because all of us are like, "No, we're not worried about it. Let's just do the work." And then after we
Yeah.
got going and getting some stuff accomplished and stuff, we said, well, what do you do? And we kind of and because we were trying to find out who's what everybody's strong point was in that point. That way we could divvy out the projects we were doing. And I was like, oh, okay,
Well, I mean, that's the beauty of the program. I mean, shoot, at any time. I mean, with so me especially, I can speak to being in that environment and as a company officer. Like I went through EFO. I was a captain. I was right
mm-hmm.
in front of the front of the fire truck. And I remember my first class. I was in a class with Chief Dorian Flowers. He's the fire chief of Greer. He was working in North Carolina back then. Um, and also like it was deputy chief from Fort Worth, all this other stuff. And I'm in this class, and I'm like, holy crap! I mean, like everybody was a chief officer except for me, and I was like, oh, and I'm talking from all over. But what it did though, it allowed me to ask a whole bunch of questions, allowed me to
Yeah,
hear,
here,
they asked me questions. That's kind of the value of having that good mix of people in those classes, like with Officer Three. It is some value there. I mean, like you jumping in there, you have something to add, and I'm a big advocate for people getting access to that, being in those types of rooms now as opposed to later.
yeah,
Now, you have to have a decent mix. You might only have two or three that will be in that class, but it gives them an opportunity to learn from those who are already there. And because here's the thing that always troubled me, if we're building people for these positions, why in the heck would we expose it to them after they are in a position? It's too late. So we got to build them. I've been the biggest advocate of making sure that we're using these programs to build our leaders and not try to use it as a means to give them the skills they need once they're in a position because it's too late. Because the thing is, you start making decisions as soon as you're in a position.
yeah.
But if you don't have all the tools to make decisions, then that's problematic.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like we're we pitched it out a while back. We're still waiting to see how it goes, but we're looking at trying to make it to where when you have candidates that are up for being lieutenant, hey, come out with us for 2 weeks.
Mm.
Practice running, you know, companies with recruits. It gives them somebody that are leading them through drills and stuff like that. That is not somebody from the norm they're used to seeing. It gives them a chance to work on personnel issues because I mean we get it all. I mean
Mhm,
like a bag of Skittles, man. It's like taste the rainbow. What flavor
mhm,
do you want today? Because you're gonna have a different one tomorrow.
mhm,
And but I think it's a good way for them to be able to evolve
mhm.
before they actually go out in the street and are expected to get them ready for it. That's like I got through taking Fire Officer 3, and then not only that, but then the first half of the Chief Officer class, I went in and I went straight back to my boss, kind of like you talking about calling Rick Dunn and all those guys, and I was like, I am sorry. I said, I don't know how much I have done, but I am sorry because I know I've done my fair share of it.
Look, you made life hard for me. Like, oh man, like so that's what you were thinking about. Like, sorry, man, I didn't mean
Yeah,
to kind of undermine your point.
yeah. And then the next thing after that is, what can I do to help you?
Mhm.
Because
Yeah,
now
yeah.
I now know everything you are dealing with that I didn't think you were. So,
It's the
uh,
beauty of exposure, though.
yeah,
You give people exposure early, man. Now you're a mouthpiece for kind of for administration to a degree. That doesn't mean administration we always do everything right, but what it does mean is that you have someone who can say, listen, you know, this direction they're really trying to go. This is what they're trying to do. I'm
get a little
just
better
trying to
under.
help you see it. That's all. You know. So yeah, I mean, exposing people to that early, sometimes it helps. So I mean, I'm glad you had that experience.
Yeah, and it also gives you a chance to be able to network with a lot more people because networking is
It
king. I mean,
it
networking is
is.
king.
It is. It is. I mean, yeah. I mean, I can't harp on that enough. Um, Being able to pick up the phone and call people that you've met in various classes of various ranks. It could be a firefighter. It could be It can be whoever. I mean, it could be a volunteer, it could be career, it doesn't matter. A lot of people have stuff to add, and I mean, you can grow from almost any and everybody that you meet.
Sure. You're not wrong. I mean, and the thing about it is with that networking, you've got a whole encyclopedia. Like if I've got a question about this, I can call
Hmm.
Chief Graham, or I can
Hmm.
call Chief Solomon, or I can call Chief Floyd. I mean, it's just, and not only that, but I mean, I got a lot of other people that are ranking to be able to call. But it's from taking classes and being exposed, and then that's a testament to one of the big things we preach about is as instructors we have to constantly keep taking classes, constantly keep learning,
Yes.
expose yourself all the time. Because the old saying is, the day you quit being a student is the day you need to quit being a teacher. I
Hmm.
mean, so with that, let's talk about the importance of instructors. You know, with us keeping ourselves in that mindset. Now, to be a student is one thing, but how important is it? Would you as a chief officer with your instructors that work for you, what is the importance of them being able to still be mentored and them being open minded enough to be mentored? Because that's a challenge a lot of times, especially with our older generation of instructors. I'm not picking on anybody, but I'm
Hmm.
I'm I'm in a couple of those classes too right now. That over to 40 class and everything else. But
Hmm.
uh, it's hard to stress the fact of instructors being open minded and still being able to be mentored on something.
Well, the funny thing is, you have to be a student of the trade. You
Hmm.
can never stop being a student of the trade. If you stop being a student of the trade, mentorship is going to be impossible, which means it's going to be impossible for you to continue to grow, and you continue with the same messaging that you had, let's say 5, 10, 20 years ago. It's going to probably be less effective. It's going to fall flat. Um, our trade, we still do the mission of our profession is the same. How we get there in general is the same, but there's vast differences in growth and just some of the services that we do provide. Uh, how we provide them, the people that we're leading. So if the instructors aren't, if they don't make themselves astute and growing and being humble enough to be mentored, I mean, what you teaching? You just teaching what only thing you're teaching is what you decided in your mind is going to be what it's going to be. Doesn't mean
Hmm.
that it's right. Doesn't mean that that even applies to the class that you're speaking with, or you even have an understanding of their needs. So if you stop being a student of the trade, you're in trouble. So with our instructors, it's never ever something that we really have to discuss, because what we end up doing is most often our instructors are known as some of our the highest performers. So they're
Hmm.
always going to be the ones that's going to be hungry. And so that now here's the part though I got to go back to that you said, them having the willingness to be mentored. And when I notice that you have individuals who maybe they kind of close mind and they believe that what they're saying is the gospel and that's it, we got a problem. So we got to talk through that, because at the end of the day, we we got to be able to take in information in order to be able to put it out. If you can't take nothing in, you damn sure can't put it out.
That's right. I I had somebody tell me the other day, and he said it a way I'd never thought about it. He said, think about it. Peter, Mark, Luke, and John all say the same
Hmm.
story. It's a different set of eyes. He's like, so you can't say that's the only way. There's always a different way to look at it and be open minded. I mean,
Yes, yes.
I like.
I like to be challenged. Like if you see something and it doesn't make sense, or you're saying, "Hey, you ever considered?"
Hmm.
You know what? No, I haven't. Let's talk about it,
Hmm.
because you may very well see something I don't see. you know, Instructors who will not allow their work to be critiqued by someone else. Like I want somebody to see my stuff. I
And that
want you to
green
put
sheet is my
eyes on my
best friend.
stuff. Yes. Yeah. I need to know. I want to know. Be honest.
I spend more time at the beginning of an evaluation on evaluation day explaining the importance of, look, write on the back what you truly feel. Don't I don't care if you
Mhm.
put your name on it or not. Write down what you truly. That's my report card. That's how
Hmm.
I gauge what I need to change. If I'm
Hmm.
doing good, tell me I'm doing good. If I do a sorry job, say this guy don't know shit. I mean, do whatever you got to do. But I mean, because
Hmm.
how do we gauge our performance or not performance, but our performance? Because basically, we're we're teaching, we're putting on a show, not theatrical wise, but I mean, we're truly showing the passion. We're teaching the skills. I mean, we don't know we need to change, or even if our message is being delivered the right way, if we don't get some kind of feedback. Test scores might be all passing, but I'm looking
Yeah.
for more than a passing score. I want
Hmm.
people to understand what's going on. Okay, everybody passed, fantastic. Did everybody truly understand what was going on?
Right. That
That's
matter.
the big thing. That's the big thing.
Yes. I,
So Fire Rescue 2025 just finished up. Really good
yeah.
time, lot of stuff. I finally got my book from Carter Jones. I,
I saw you with it I think I saw it on Facebook. I said, so you got his book.
oh man, I chased that guy around. I chased him around the exhibit hall like 3 times trying to get up to him. And the first time he was already on the podcast center stage. The time I got up to him because, and it's like he can move for somebody his age. I mean,
Absolutely. Carter's my man. I love Carter.
I'm gonna get him on here. I'm gonna get him on here.
Yes,
Uh,
man.
but I finally got Carter's book and got it signed. And because I've been trying to get it, and every time I go to buy it, it was like, okay, it's out, it's being redone,
Mm.
stuff like that. So I snagged a copy at the convention and got to see a lot of neat stuff. And when I presented, I was telling you, pre gaming, one of the highlights I had was 5 of my recruits showed up to hear me talk again, to hear my program, and it was like that was a moment that I just had to kind of take in and think about. I mean, because these guys listen to me from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day, Monday through Friday, on their Saturday, their day off, and they're sitting in a classroom to listen to me again. I mean, that kind of it took me for a minute, and I was really happy about it. I'm really, really proud of the fact that they come up and they appreciated what I'd done, and they chose to with everybody else that was at Fire Rescue teaching.
Mm.
I mean, there was other guys teaching. They still chose to come in and listen to me. That meant a lot. It truly did.
That's a good way. That's a good way to kind of gauge it. It's a form of validation essentially. I mean, they did it by choice,
Hmm.
and I mean that means you did something right.
So far,
You talk about we'll see. Let's see how long they're on probation.
actually, they're not. Believe it or not, our department doesn't have a probationary program.
Oh, really?
No,
Oh, okay. Well,
uh,
look, there you
no.
go. You made it.
Graduation day, they're ready to go. But you had a lot to do with that. You had a lot to do with the conference. You do your little part still with the Firemen Association, with the Chiefs
Mhm.
Association, and everything else. So, talk about the environment of the convention on a chief side and an instructor too. Because I mean, because you teach a lot of those upper leadership classes and stuff. What does it mean to you to be able to have that convention every year?
So,
Hey,
you know,
Rick Dunn, we throw in a plug. We throw in a plug.
you better hear it, Rick. You better hear it. A few years ago, we sat down as executive committee, and we were talking with TNE chair, and we were talking about, how can we make it better for all parties, and we had this nice little thing we call Fire Source Improvement Conference, but what could we do with it to make it just pop, right? And it was during a time where we were transitioning, moving from moving locations and conference. So that's when we first floated that change in fire service improvement conference, and moved a lot of hands on there. And with the actual state conference, it allowed us to get back to that workshop component, and which is great. And so that model that we're using now was really something that had been born out of really just paying attention to our membership.
Hmm.
Now, from fire chief standpoint, I love the fact that we're able to send our people there for free. You get to hear top tier instructors, dang that, free of charge. It's one of the best things you can have. There are a lot of places in the country that are kind of jealous of us a little bit because we do have this just wonderful pool of talent, and then we have an association that allows us to put on these type of top tier conferences for free. Um, as far as like what it provides, like I had one of our captains, he's actually in the Leadership Institute. They were
Hmm.
working during that time period, so he got a chance to be there. You have some of your other firefighters that come, they get to do the networking, they get to talk, they get to see. It's a lot to take in, and I like the fact that we do allow our people to see this stuff. And like once again, it's dirt free. If you can get there, it's free.
I mean,
They get to hear people like you.
there was a guy that that I personally know. He lives in New York, and he got in contact with guys from the association. His son works for our department,
Mhm.
and he's a fireman in New York. And he called up and said, "Hey, just so happens I'm taking vacation that week. Can I come?"
Mhm.
Absolutely, walk in the door. I mean, the association's great for that. I mean, because come in and listen to some, like you said, some of the top tier speakers. We had some really good guys. I mean, we had some heavy hitters here this year. I
Mhm.
mean, that's some really top tier people. And like you said, it costs, you got to pay parking. That's it, five
That's
bucks.
it. Five
I mean,
dollars.
$5 to cover parking, and then you got the exhibit hall, all the classes that are going
Uh-huh.
on. I mean, they had the big social mixer at Broadway. I
Oh
mean, it
yeah,
was,
that's phenomenal.
oh yeah.
It was it was 20 years ago. It was 20 years ago this year. I went to my first fire rescue conference. It was 2005. That was the 100th year of the association.
Hmm.
So to kind of, I was walking in, and I looked, I said, God, dog, I said 20 years. I said that's awesome.
Yeah.
Every year since, and
Yeah.
it's really awesome.
Yeah, I started going in '96, and I'm not gonna lie. When I first got there, or I first went, I didn't know about the classes. I thought the convention
Mhm.
was a place to go look at new trucks and buy T-shirts. I'm like,
Right, exactly.
if I knew what I knew now, I would have been. Oh, I'd have been sitting down every minute I was off listening to somebody. I mean, but it's really good. So you know, you talked about one of your guys being in leadership right now, being able to help do the conference. That gives them backside idea of what the association actually does.
Mhm.
And I'll throw another plug out. Um, just seen on Facebook coming that the association on their page that there is open applications for the next leadership institutes coming up. So
Mm.
with you having guys there and there's people from all over the state and a lot of listeners from across the state that might not be aware of Leadership Institute, not even knowing what it is, because if you don't follow the association page, you wouldn't know it's even available. Um, and there might be some people that's interested in it. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Will do. So you got two things that you actually can look at. One that's open right now, and by the time it's rolled out, I think you might have a week left to get your applications in. But the chief fire, I mean, not, excuse me, not chief, excuse me, the fire officer program, fire
Yeah.
officer academy, excuse me, the fire officer academy is it's a phenomenal program. We send people through it all the time. It really challenges individuals who either are company officers or want to become company officers. It challenges them, but it also provides them exposure that we talked about, real world
Mhm.
exposure and engagement, where you're talking about you get management, you're getting leadership, you're getting fireground, you're getting strategies and tactics. You're actually going out and you're actually functioning as a company officer, and you're doing all this with people from around the state. So you may have individuals who are currently sitting in company officer positions and those who may be aspiring to do so. It is awesome. Put your application in. Go to let's see, scfirefighters.com.org. Scfirefighter.org, right? Let's see. Hold on. Let me make sure it's right. I should let me see. Yep, scfirefighters.org. Put in your application ASAP. It is one of the best programs in the country. How do I know? I know this because I have talked to attendees who have been from around the country, and they are replicating this to other places. We get to do it dang near for free. Put in your application.
I'll tell
The
you how
leaders.
good it is, and I didn't mean to cut you off,
No,
Chief.
no, 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 no. You good.
I've spoke to a couple of people that's been through it. I'm not going to ever put in for it. I wouldn't want to take the spot of somebody that's
Mhm.
growing in a department. I don't have that much time left. There's no need for me to take a spot. But but the people I have talked to that's been through it, here's the one thing: this class means so much to the guys that graduate. Just about every one of the prior alumni are there for the next graduation each time.
Hmm.
They're steady building more and more each time. I mean,
That's
everybody
fact.
says it is a phenomenal program.
And that's because the everyone who attends and they graduate, they feel as if it is something that was earned, and they have been indoctrinated into this new brother and sisterhood that we have of either current or emerging leaders in the fire service in the state of South Carolina. They take it very serious, and I mean, I just it's so cool to watch how this thing has really grown, and if you're not putting in, you're crazy. Put in for it. I wish I had it when I was coming up. This thing is something that will help make you a better firefighter and make you a better company officer. I promise you, and more likely a better chief officer. The Leadership Institute. The Leadership Institute has been around, I think, a better part of 15 years now. The Leadership Institute, so the Firefighter Association has this institute where you apply, you go in, it's a very rigorous selection process. They put you in this cohort if you're selected, and it's individuals from all across the state. They want to try to build those leaders for the state fire service, not just your department, but the state fire service, the leaders to help continue to move the entire fire service forward because they do it through exposure because they're going to introduce you to what the state fire service is in so many different areas. You have projects that are due, let me see, group projects, individual projects. You go, you get to see the fire truck manufacturing process. You get to see how maybe like the city of North Charleston operate, and then you go to the upstate, you go to all these different places so that you can see how the state of South Carolina fire service operate, and
They
it
do that on a
changes.
legislative level too,
That
right?
that is correct. Yeah, that's right. And so even with Legislative Day, you will be there at Legislative Day. You get to see how the fire service is affected by the laws that are passed at the state level and our role in getting those passed as an association. So if you want to really get an opportunity to try to grow yourself, there are programs out there in the state that you can apply for. Go ahead and apply. I promise you, you will not regret
Good deal. Well, Chief, you have give us a pile of information.
it.
I've got a ton of notes right here, so expect some emails coming a little later.
Man,
Um,
shoot them.
uh, so the chalkboard's yours. What do you want to write on it?
You know what, the last time I said make sure that we remember that we're serving the citizens, and
Mm,
and I still want people to know that. Make sure that you remember that the reason why we do what we do is for the citizens. I would give this long crazy speech, but that is truly what needs to guide our preparation. That's what
mhm.
needs to guide our drive. That what need to guide our performance. These people count on us. It's sometimes I think it get lost on us, so we need to make sure we do that. The other thing is this: understand, this is to the younger firefighters. The younger firefighters that are coming into our trade or that are in our trade, understand that your contribution to the fire service is equally as important as anybody that contributed beforehand. Do not let anyone make you think otherwise. I could say, well, you guys don't do things the way that we used to do it and all that stuff. But you shouldn't. Reason why is because we're smarter. Why would you do them the exact same way we did then, right? This is your time. Your time is now. Your mark on the fire service is going to be made right now. So it's your opportunity. Don't try to replicate what happened before you. It's no need. Build your own legacy now. Don't worry about that. I see a lot of young firefighters. They want to kind of go back to. They say, "Well, we want to go back to the way things used to be." Well, hey, let me be the first one to tell you that may not be the best idea. Because we are smarter now. We move forward. You guys are far ahead of where some of us were in our careers. Take that, use it, grow the next generation of firefighters, add your mark to this trade, build on it, okay? I promise you, we all stand on the shoulders of people who came before us, and it's meant to be that way. So this thing need to last. As soon as I walk out this door, y'all need to continue to carry it forward. All right. So just know that this job is great, this career is great. It will take care of you as long as you take care of it. So citizens come first. Always remember that.
Mhm.
Citizens. That's why we got a job.
Yep, really good, Chief. Um, and I hadn't forgot about you. It'll be on the way. Uh,
My my man, Wayne.
uh, but yeah, everybody, if you want to get inside my head, which might be a really dangerous place to be, my book published out on the 7th of this month is The Why Before the How, a modern day approach to teaching fire service students. It's on Amazon. You can look it up, Wayne Jones, and the title is The Why Before the How. Um, Hey, really, I think it's a great book. I'm waiting for some reader
Ready.
feedback, but yeah, give it a go. I mean, I'd really greatly appreciate it. I'm
I'm
actually
excited.
I'm
I'm
working on
excited to read
another
it.
one. I'm working on another one right now, and it's going to be a little bit more into mentorship and
Nice.
the importance of mentorship as instructors mentoring our students, and
Yes.
we'll see how it goes. Hoping to have it done in the next, hopefully the next month. So
See, bro, you making me feel bad now. Good Lord, now. I mean, I'm like three, four books behind now. What?
I tell you what, we get done with this one. Wait, we'll tag team one. How about that?
Let's do it, baby. I'm in
Yeah,
for
I can do 20,000 words a week. I mean, I'm pretty good by now. Uh,
it.
I just don't sleep. But
It's all
Chief,
good.
man, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. I have had a great time. Everybody, thanks for listening in. This couldn't be possible without your support. Everybody, stay safe. Keep learning this craft. We all love it enough to be here. Keep learning this craft. And guys, I'll see you the next time when we get our next guest to come up and tell him what he wants to write on the chalkboard. See you guys later.